Hello everyone, this is being done live with stream. EU servers are currently dead, so if there's any notifications that pop-ups, I apologize during this. So what I'm going to be doing right now is the Terran versus Zerg guide. I'll be actually showing you guys two build orders slash guides in one against Zerg. I'm going to show you both bio and both mech, because a lot of Zergs ask for a lot of Terrans ask for mech guides. A lot of Terrans ask for bio guides against Zerg. A lot of Terrans are struggling against Zerg, so I've decided to just do both in one. So the guide I'll be showing you guys today will be a macro guide. Previously, I did a lot of like Hellbat pushes and guides with those things, like very focused timing attacks, which you can still check out on my YouTube channel because nothing really changed. You can still do those builds. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit more macro oriented build that can transition both into mech and bio. So what I'm going to do is first I will show the mech version and then I will show the bio version after that. That's it. As you can see, my portrait is messed up because, well, EU servers are dead. Yeah. I was going to record this, off of stream professionally, but since servers are dead, I was like, might as well. Okay, so, like I said, this is a TVZ guide, so we're going to be doing mech. This is a very macro-focused opener. Not a lot of potential for damage, but it does transition into very macro heavy game while being able to put some aggression at least with mech. So we're gonna be doing barracks first. We're not gonna be doing gas first. Every time you do macro openings like triple CC, it's always better to open barracks first, because barracks first opener compared to gas first opener has more mineral income overall, so it's going to allow you to get that third CC much quicker. Okay, SCV is ready indeed. So TVZ, so we're not going to SCV scout, there's no need for that. Let's go. We're just gonna build up our little things in the beginning. Obviously we're gonna wall off like always against Zerg. And we're gonna basically do a Reaper fasting spin. I gotta say, since I'm playing in the offline mode right now, it's really nice to have no delay. Look at this. Look at this. 0 MS. That's beautiful. Give us land, Blizzard. Because it was good to play with no delay.
Insufficient Vespine gas.
Okay, so gonna get my expand. The one good thing when you play barracks into gas is that after the Reaper you're gonna have that one Marine extra made, so if the Zergos pull first, you can deflect that with Marine and some SCVs until your Reaper comes back, and Zerg won't be as annoying, and sending Reaper across the map is not as big of a deal as if you go gas first, because if you go gas first and then barracks, you send the Reaper across the map, you're making a reactor very fast, and if the Zergos pull first, you're in a little bit of trouble.
What's going on?
Okay, so I will not be grabbing the second gas yet. I have my Marine, I'm gonna get a reactor, and this is going to be super fast third CC. Now, because this third CC is super quick, you want to make it in a location, obviously depending on the map, somewhere where Zerg won't be able to scout it with an Overlord preferably. So on this map, I'm going to make it here, because Zergs just never go all the way, with Overlord. So this is a nice little cute location you can put your CC in. So the Reaper, I'm not going to micro it. I'd explained in previous guides what you're supposed to do with the Reaper and what to scout for and so on. So we're not gonna go into that. This is a build order guide after all.
Add-on complete.
I want to get my second gas right now, getting some Hellions, and I will be making Starport as well. It's just a little bit delayed because, like I said, we wanted to get that super quick third CC up and get the economy rolling. second CC
Not
is up,
enough minerals.
and this is where we start pumping out Hellions, start pumping out more and more SCVs.
Not enough
And at this
minerals.
point, the perfect game would be, I'm going to put this Marine here to prevent Overlord scouting. The perfect situation would be if you manage to deny Zerg scouting completely, because that way he won't know that you're going for triple CC, and he might play off game like, oh, I need to be careful for Hellions, for Banshees, and so on. And that's where you kind of get your edge. Now,
Add-on complete.
now I'm going to pause here for a second.
Paused.
You guys noticed that after I made the second command center, I made a supply depot, then I made the factory, swapped with the reactor, made an orbital and a natural, and I actually didn't make another depot because you simply don't need it, because the third CC will be done and you'll get your supply from there. So that's another cool thing about this build, is even though the CC is super quick, it kind of actually like pays off really nicely, and you get like more efficiency because you don't need to get that third supply depot super quick, because your third CC will serve that purpose. So the reason why I pause is just want to say what I'm about to do and how I'm about to transition, because sometimes it's really hard to talk while you're playing. So, like I said, your perfect situation is if the Zerg doesn't know about the third CC, it gives you a lot of like room to, you know, pretend to be aggressive, go across the map with the Hellions and stuff like that. I don't suggest going across the map with the Hellions unless you're almost completed with walling off your natural. The reason for that is not only the Zerg can run by and kill your SCVs, but also he will see that third, and that's something, you know, you don't want to let him see. Because if the Zerg sees the third CC really quickly, he's just gonna mass drone, and yeah. So, what I'm gonna do from here, you just kind of keep the map control with the Hellions. You're safe against any kind of bailing busts. The starport is a little bit delayed, but you're basically delaying your second gas and your starport for super duper quick third, which is very much worth it in my opinion. And this is a build that I've been doing quite a bit in recent times when I play Terran, because I feel that the old school Terran builds where you go for, you know, expand, Hellions, you know, Banshee or medevac drop or Liberator, the Zergs have kind of figured it out, and it kind of feels very committed because your third is very delayed with it, and you kind of, you know, hope too much that you're going to do some damage. And this one is kind of like, you can do damage, but you also have the economy to back it up. So from here on out, what I'm going to do is I always like to get a Cloak Banshee. The reason for that is, well, it forces spores, it makes the Zerg scared. You can deflect any roach all-ins, you can deflect, or, you know, help deflect Baneling all-ins. It gives you a lot of map control early on, because there's no way for the Zerg to kill the Banshees unless you know, run into spores or queens. And it's just, you know, overall nice. What I really love to do with Mech is get about 6 to 8 Hellions and then follow it up with double Cyclone, and then I'm going to do a push with all those units, all those Hellions, plus 2 Cyclones, plus a Banshee. And the reason why I really like this push is it arrives later than the normal push should. So when the timing passes, let's say the timing is 5 minutes. I'm just throwing out random numbers because I don't play in minutes. I just play kind of an experience. So let's say 5 minute mark passes and the Zerg sees you're not being aggressive. The Zerg goes back to droning, and then you arrive with this awkward timing with Hellbats, 2 Cyclones, and the Banshee. And the best part about it is when the Zerg either takes damage or defends it, right? But even if the Zerg defends it, the Zergs will feel they're in a better position than they actually are, because they don't know about the third, and they don't know that your economy is popping off. So the next time you do might be much quicker than I thought, and they're gonna be like, how does he have that many units? He's not supposed to have that. So that's why this build, voila. Anyway, let's continue. That was a long break. When I get my Banshee started, I'm gonna start walling off my natural.
Not enough minerals.
And even if you was doing some kind of roach all in, you would either seed with Reaper, you know, you can make a bunker and react to it. So I'm gonna go for 8 Hellions. That's the number I usually go for.
Not enough energy.
I'm gonna start another depot because Cyclones are very supply heavy, so make sure you don't get supply locked. triple SCV production going up.
Daylight's burning.
You can see I have a lot of gas, that's fine. I'm popping 2 cyclones right now.
Ready to raid?
And I'm gonna make an armory as well, because, you know, I want those juicy outlets. Look how the gas lines up perfectly for a new Banshee.
Additional.
Now, what I also like to do is sometimes I skip cloak, because what I've learned is that the Zergs go for spores no matter what.
Big jump.
So this time I'm gonna skip cloak. Zergs go for spore no matter what. If you were going for cloak, you would just delay your army a little bit, and that's it. Now with this army, I'm gonna go across the map. The point of the Banshee is not so much to do damage. I think we've passed that point in StarCraft. It's more to control the map, make the Zerg scared, and well, you know, force them to make some spore crawlers. Now this army is very, very scary at this point in the game. I'll send my second Banshee as well. And this is basically what you do the attack with. You have your Hellbats, you have your 2 Cyclones. What you want to do is try to put your Cyclones on the Queens. Don't shoot Lings with Cyclones. Cyclones should be attacking Roaches or Queens, and then you let your Hellbats do whatever they want. If you're not going with Cloak, be very careful so that your Banshees don't get sniped by the Queens. If you are going for Cloak, just keep the Banshees out of range, out of the spore range, so he has no detection, because the Zerg should not have Overseer at this point in the game. Obviously this is everything assuming that Zerg is playing normal and he is in 3 base. If the Zerg is being aggressive, you're gonna play you know, more defensive. Maybe you're gonna keep making Banshees instead of stopping at 2. And yeah. Now behind you can see this is like I said, if I played a normal 2 base opening with this specific attack, I would be very far behind in economy. I'm already fully saturated in 2 base. I have 4 gases I can throw down, and I will throw down 2 more factories. I'm going to throw down another armory and just kind of transition from then on up. So I'm going to, you know, pretend I'm doing this attack. You know, this is very easy AI, so he doesn't really have any units. I'm going to just leave my units on the middle of the map. From here on out, you're going to go into 2 more factories, reactor starport, like I said, another armory for double upgrades rolling.
Big job, huh?
And what you want to follow this up with, 99% of the games, is double Thor plus double medevac. The reason why you want to follow it up with that, well, if the Zerg goes for mutas, you got Thors, and if Zerg goes for roaches, you can drop harass with your Thors. I'm gonna throw down 2 more factories. We want to get that production going. Grab your double gas on the 3rd as fast as you can. Make sure you're not getting supply blocked. At this point, you should have less supply, because these units should be traded out pretty much. So you wouldn't be struggling with supply depots like I am right now.
Additional supply depots. Insufficient.
We're gonna get 2 medevacs as well. And you have so much money to spend. It's like the most macro-oriented mech build. Because usually mech builds, you kind of struggle for gas, struggle for this, struggle for that. This one, as you can see, everything is just kind of popping off, and your economy's taking off so fast. At this point, 7 minutes, 7:20, you can grab a 4th base as well. You're safe against Muta because of the Thors. You have your 3rd fully saturated. You can already stop your SCV production. You can see I'm even a little bit oversaturated here. Keep making supply depots, and this is your 2nd push. A lot of people, when they play Mech, they're absolutely clueless what to do after the initial push. They're like, okay, well, I did some damage, what do I do now? So, my suggestion is test and see what works better for you. I'm going to pause again, because there's a lot to discuss and talk about. So there's 2 options. You can either do a full-on frontal 3rd base push, and when I do those kind of pushes, I do them because I did some damage with my 1st push. Like, I killed some drones, maybe I killed all of his queens. So I'm kind of like, let's try to finish the game. And obviously these Hellbats are going to be turned into, Hellions are going to be turned into Hellbats. And then Thors, will be there to just kind of demolish any roaches or any queens. The most important part of this follow-up is don't lose your Thors. You can trade all the Hellbats, that's fine. Do not lose your Thors. That's why you build medevacs. Not so that you can heal your Hellbats, but so that Thors stay alive and you run away with them. From here on out, you're only going to make siege tanks. And because 2 Thors are all you need. Like, if the Zerg is going to mute us, 2 Thors are more than enough to deflect that. So from here on out, I'm going to be transitioning to full-on siege tanks. I'm getting my Blue Flame upgrade. +1 weapons is about to finish, which you should have for this attack going on right now. And then you're going to be making Viking or Liberators and siege tanks plus Hellion from here on out. Now, if your first attack doesn't go well, let's say it gets completely deflected, what I like to do is change it up, and then I send my Hellions to his 3rd base, and then I do the double Thor drop in his main base. You've probably seen this in pro matches quite often, and people used to think, and some people still think, it's a troll build, like double Thor drop. It's not, because Zerg has no good way of dealing with 2 Thors early on in the game, unless, you know, you as a Terran just run into spores or queens and you lose them. Even if there's like, you know, 7-8 roaches, 2 Thors can kill a lot of roaches and get away alive, so they're very cost efficient. Just be worried a little bit about Hydra suddenly popping, killing your medevacs. But that's pretty much it. So this is as far as the build order goes, so I'm gonna stop here because after that I can give you like more in general what to do, because this is the build, and then after this you build depending on what your opponent is doing. So I'm getting my 4th. I can even throw down a 5th base if I have. Like I said, this build is heavy on the economy, and you will have a lot of income. So you need to practice this build, make sure you're spending the money, because it can be very difficult, especially while doing those pushes across the map. So from here on out, like I said, make siege tanks, start making, if you see Hive, you need to start making Vikings in order to counteract the Vipers. And your 3rd big push will be with 200, or not necessarily 200, like you don't need to wait, you can start pushing around 180 supply, 190 supply. You want to push across the map, and the perfect game would be if you executed the first 2 attacks well. The 3rd attack with almost maxed out army should be before Vipers are out, or just as the Vipers are coming out. So the Zerg is kind of like struggling and panicking, he needs to get the energy for the Blinding Clouds, but you already have the Vikings and so on and so forth. As you can see, you're constantly aggressive with this. You kind of like do an attack, and the 2nd attack is already, you know, ready to go. If the Zerg is going for Brood Lords, you're obviously going to add more starports for more Vikings. You're going to make maybe Ghosts if you're good at micring them, and then just a bunch of Thors as well. One thing I want to note is don't overmake tanks. I see this mistake when I coach people so often. And the mistake is they make like 20 plus tanks. You don't need 20 plus tanks. You need like 12, 13, 14, 15 tanks maximum. Everything else should be Hellbats and Thors. No matter what you're fighting against, Thors in the late game are actually quite decent against Zerg. The reason for that is if the Zerg is going Brood Lords, you know, Thors can shoot up, so yay. If the Zerg is going Vipers, I think Thors are actually quite nice against them, even though they can be pulled. They go well together with the Vikings. And I think that's pretty much it as far as the mech part of this guide goes. So let's just put both mech and bio in one video after all. Welcome back. Even though for you guys watching on YouTube, it's the same video, but for you guys, well, anyway. So I'm going to be doing the same build order that I just showed you guys for mech, except for bio and how to transition out of it. Let's jump into it.
Game resumed.
Let's just jump in. Let's just get into it. Some people will get that, some people won't, and that's fine.
Not enough minerals.
Okay.
SCV ready.
So, we're here
Big
on
job, huh?
Dreamcatcher
Not enough
against very
minerals.
easy AI,
Go ahead.
and I'm about to do
What's
deep
going
dive.
on? SCV ready.
So we're gonna start off again with exactly the same thing. the barracks into gas, Reaper expand into 1 Marine, and I would say that it feels nicer when you do this build into bio thing because this is a very mineral heavy build, so it allows you to transition into, you know, very strong army earlier, I feel like, than Mech. And the reason for that is you're gonna have, you know, so many minerals, and you're gonna be making barracks instead of factories that also require gas, and it allows for some very quick pushes while having the economy to back it up. So I mentioned when I did Mech guide for this that I prefer, or sometimes I do Cloak Banshee, sometimes I don't. With Bio, I don't like Cloak Banshees. I think it's kind of a waste, and I would, you know, just make 1 or 2 Banshees without Cloak, just to make the Zerg scared, and then transition out of it, because I would rather have quicker stim than have a Cloak Banshee, if that makes sense, because with Mech, you can get a lot of value with Cloak Banshees, with Hellbats and so on, but with Bio, not so much. Not so much.
Big job, huh?
So there's 2 variations of this, how you want to play out this build with Bio, and I'm going to show you how to do so.
What's going on?
So the one variation is kind of like what I did with Mech. You're going to do everything the same, together with the armory, up until the point you push out with 1 or 2 Banshees. And with Mech you add factories, but with Bio you would add more barracks. So that's one variation where you still go aggressive. The reason why I'm kind of like with that one is because you add an armory so early, but you're not really going to use it, right? Because you're going to go into Bio. So I'm going to show you guys the version that I prefer, that is much stronger as far as the unit count goes, but it is a little less aggressive. So, like I said, you open up the same fast 3rd CC. I will still go Starport, but I won't be committing as much as I was committing when I played Mech. Because look at it this way, the more Hellbats you make, or Hellions, the more Hellions you make, the more Cyclones you make, the more Banshees you make, your Bio is later. That's how you should look at it. Because with Mech, you would be making Hellions anyway, right? Because you have the extra minerals. But with Bio, you could be making Marines a lot quicker. So that is the trade-off. That's why I prefer this this version of the build, but more passive with Bio, because it, like I said, it allows you to transition to your stim timing pushes much quicker. So I'm going to show you guys how that is done. Again, put this Marine to patrol. Don't need the 3rd depot, as you can see. The 3rd CC is about to finish. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to 6 Hellions. I think 4 Hellions is too little. Because you can still kind of, you know, lose if he goes for Baneling Bust or something. But if you go for 6 Hellions, you're very safe against, you know, whatever you need to be safe against. So I'm going to start a Banshee, I'm going to start a Tech Lab on my barracks. And from here on out, when the 6th Hellion comes out, I'm going to lift the factory, start making reactors with it, and I'm going to add +2 barracks first. Sometimes you will see pro players, right here, sometimes you will see pro players go for like double engineering bay at this point before the extra barracks. I don't like that because it's too greedy, I think, and I prefer to have a little bit delayed upgrades but much faster stim drop than the other way around. Because most of the time you won't really be able to get anything done if you have your upgrades 20 seconds faster, but 20 seconds, 30 seconds faster stim push is much better. So because I'm not going for Cyclones, I'm only going for 6 Hellions and they're not Hellbats, what you want to do is, once you're close to walling off, again, you know, you can push across the map a little bit. I would not suggest to suicide Hellions. You can if you want to, if that's your thing, and try to kill some drones. The reason why I don't like that is because if you lose the Hellions and then the Zerg happens to be Baneling busting, he can just go across the map and kill you because you're going to have a Banshee and 3 Marines, and that's it. But if he's doing some kind of delayed Bane bust, you're going to have 6 Hellions, which are going to help quite a bit to deal with it. So because no armory, you won't be doing any kind of timing push. And you will be making 1 Banshee with no cloak. And after the Banshee is done, you can make Viking to clear some Overlords. And like I said, the task of the Banshee is not to kill drones. Obviously, if you can't do it, task of the Banshee is to kind of scare the Zerg into making Spore Crawlers and also help you if he's doing any kind of Roach all-ins. Try to keep the Banshee alive, and on most maps you can keep the Banshee like on the middle of the map and kind of give you the vision if the Zerg is pushing out.
Game resumed.
So,
Add-on.
I'm going to get my stim going. I can already land this CC. Oops. Right there. I'm gonna get a Viking. Again, you can send a Banshee across the map. I'm gonna grab the double gas on the natural. I have 16 on the minerals, which is what I need. Marine production is started. And at this point, I want to throw down the engineering base. The reason why you want to go for Viking is if the Zerg didn't scout so far what you're doing, it's always nice to, not let the Zerg know if you're going for Mech or for Bio. When your first reactor finishes that you built with factory, you're gonna put the factory onto the tech lab from the starport. Okay, that's how the add-on swapping works. Let me pause this because it might have been confusing. So, what you're gonna do initially when your starport is near completion, you're gonna make tech lab with the barracks for your starport. You put your starport onto the tech lab. You start new tech lab with your barracks. That's where you're going to be starting stim. And when you make 6 Hellions, you're going to make a reactor with the factory. Another reactor. And then you're going to build 2 extra barracks that are both going to be planted on the reactors from the factory. And once you make 1 Banshee and 1 Viking, you lift off the starport, you make a reactor on the starport, and then you put the factory on the tech lab. I know it's kind of like too complicated, but these are very important things of how you sort your add-ons because it gives you basically the most unit production possible. And now what you want to do is start producing siege tanks. When the starport is done, you're going to produce medevacs, and the moment first 2 medevacs come out, that's when you start pushing out.
Additional supply depots required.
This is where you want to ramp up your supply depot production because you will be producing more and more units from this point on. Send the Viking to clear some overlords, especially behind the opponent's main base, because that's where you will be dropping after, and you don't want it to have vision of that area, so you can actually get your drops in there. And it kind of lines up perfectly by the time your Viking gets there and clears the overlords. Your 2 medevacs will be out, and it's good timing. Good timing.
Not enough mineral, not enough energy, not enough.
So full-on production. Very soon you are going to have more money, just naturally, even though you're producing. Get more barracks up and going. Keep producing your bio. When your upgrades are about halfway done, add a armory. And basically your first big push will be with 2 siege tanks, your 6 Hellbats, and a lot of bio. The meta right now in TVZ is, Link Bang Hydra, so I would suggest just going second factory straight away. So you want to run 5 barracks, 2 factories, and a starport that will be producing siege tanks. Keep pulling off your third base. And look at this juicy, big timing. Your stim should be done. Start the shields. You don't need to wait for shields in order to push. Find some cheeky spots for your tanks. And do the push. It's very strong. Like I said, your armory should be almost done as you're pushing up. So you can transform these into Hellbats. And just do a big timing push. With your economy being very strong behind it, you can add a 4th base as well. 2-2. Try to start it as soon as you can. And that's pretty much it. The first attack is very important. Because it is TVZ, everything is timing oriented, especially when you play
Insufficient
bio.
SP gas.
From here on out, the next two medevacs, when they pop out, you can load them up. You can go into the main base while you're attacking this side. And yeah, just keep producing siege tanks out of both factories. Like I said, the meta is Blinkbane Hydra, but if the Zerg is going for Roach or Ravager, you know, double siege tanks is also pretty good. And if the Zerg is going for mutas, you can switch up, you know, from
Mineral
siege
field
tanks to maybe 2 stores if you feel like you need it.
Add-on complete.
And that's pretty much it. Keep your upgrades going. Go to 2. Go +1 mech weapons. Keep upgrading your mech upgrades. And
Research
once you get the
complete.
4th base, you know, you can add some more production, like 3 more barracks. And after that, players have different play styles. Some players prefer to go like +3 extra barracks, put all tech labs on them, and go into Ghost Viking, or you can go Ghost Liberator. But that kind of depends what the Zerg is going for. Make sure the creep is cleared at all sides, and make sure that you're attacking the last Zerg mining base always. Don't try to go through the middle
Mineral
into the
field
natural,
completed.
because you will get surrounded. If you push through here, you kind of have good position here over the ledge. Even if you get surrounded, it's very easy to deflect. But if you go through the middle of the map, it's never a good idea, because you can get flanked and lose your army pretty quickly. Okay, well now, this is the real ending of the guide. Thank you guys for watching on YouTube. If you're watching this later on,
Upgrade.
and leave the comment down below what kind of guide you would like to see next. Thank you again. Have a great day. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and make sure to check out one of my previous videos. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching. Have a very nice day, and I'll see you guys next time.